There are 5 things you will never be able to do again after you truly wake up. And I need you to understand something. This isn't a warning to scare you. This is a promise. Because once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. Once you step out of the dream, you cannot pretend you're still asleep. Eckhart Tolle spent 29 years in depression before his awakening. 29 years of suffering, of mental anguish, of feeling like existence itself was unbearable. And then, in one single night, everything changed. Not gradually, not slowly. In a single moment, the person he thought he was completely dissolved. And what remained was something he could never go back from. You might think waking up is about gaining something, a new perspective, a higher state of consciousness, some mystical experience. But here's what nobody tells you. Awakening isn't about what you gain, it's about what you lose, permanently, irreversibly, forever. And these 5 things I'm about to reveal to you, once they're gone, they're gone. There is no going back. No matter how hard you try. The first thing you will never be able to do again is believe your thoughts without question. Right now, every single thought that enters your mind feels like it's yours. It feels like truth. It feels like reality. When your mind says you're not good enough, you believe it. When your mind tells you that person doesn't like you, you accept it as fact. When your mind creates stories about what might happen tomorrow, you treat those stories as if they're already real. But after awakening, something fundamental shifts. Eckhart Tolle describes it as disidentification from thinking. You suddenly realize that the voice in your head is not you. It never was you. It's just a pattern, a program, a conditioned response that has been running on autopilot your entire life. Research from the University of Michigan, published in 2023, found that people who experienced spiritual breakthroughs showed a significant reduction in what psychologists call cognitive fusion, the tendency to treat thoughts as literal truths. Their brains literally stopped processing thoughts the same way. Once this happens, you can never go back. You'll hear a thought arise, and instead of immediately believing it, you'll see it for what it is. Just a thought, just energy passing through. You'll watch your mind create entire dramas, entire catastrophes, entire stories about who you are and what your life means, and you'll recognize all of it as fiction. This might sound liberating, and it is, but it also means you can never again find comfort in your mental stories. You can never again use your thoughts to justify your suffering. You can never again blame your unhappiness on what your mind tells you is wrong with your life. The second thing you will never be able to do again is live on autopilot before awakening. Most people exist in a state that Eckhart Tolle calls unconscious living. You wake up and your mind immediately takes over. You go through your day without ever being truly present. You eat without tasting. You walk without feeling your feet on the ground. You have conversations while mentally planning what you'll say next. This autopilot mode is comfortable. It requires no effort. You simply let your conditioning run the show, while the real you, the awareness behind all of it, remains asleep. But after awakening, this becomes impossible. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology in 2022 examined brain activity in people who reported permanent shifts in consciousness. They found that these individuals showed consistently higher activation in regions associated with present moment awareness, their default mode networks, the parts of the brain responsible for mind-wandering and autopilot thinking, showed significantly reduced activity. What does this mean? It means once you wake up, you can't fall back asleep. Not completely. You might drift into unconsciousness for moments. You might get caught in mental patterns temporarily, but there will always be something watching, something aware, something that notices when you've gone unconscious and gently pulls you back. This sounds wonderful, until you realize what it actually means. You can no longer numb yourself to your life. You can no longer distract yourself from uncomfortable emotions by staying busy. You can no longer use mindless activities to escape from what you're feeling. Every moment demands your presence. Every experience asks you to be fully there. And while this is the doorway to true aliveness, it also means you can never again hide from yourself. The third thing you will never be able to do again is pretend everything is fine when it's not. Before awakening, most people become masters of suppression. Something painful happens, and you push it down. Someone hurts you, and you smile and say it's okay. When you feel anger, sadness, and fear, and you bury it all beneath a mask of being fine. Society actually rewards this. We call it being strong, being mature, not making a big deal out of things. But awakening shatters this ability completely. Eckhart Tolle talks about what he calls the emotional baggage, the accumulated emotional pain from your past that lives in your energy field. Before awakening, you can ignore it. You can pretend it's not there. You can go years, even decades, without ever truly feeling what's stored inside you. After awakening, this becomes impossible. The light of awareness illuminates everything, including the parts of yourself you've spent your entire life hiding from. Research by Dr. Emily Carter at UCLA found that people who experienced spiritual breakthroughs reported a significant increase in emotional sensitivity. They felt things more deeply, more intensely, more completely. They could no longer suppress or ignore their emotional reality. This means you'll never again be able to pretend you're okay when you're not. Your body won't let you. Your awareness won't let you. You'll feel every emotion fully, completely, without the ability to push it away. And here's the paradox. This very inability to suppress emotion is what eventually leads to emotional freedom. Because when you stop fighting your feelings, they move through you naturally. They arise. They are felt. They dissolve. But the transition period, when you can no longer suppress but haven't yet learned to release, that's one of the most challenging aspects of awakening. The fourth thing you will never be able to do again is engage in shallow conversations without noticing before awakening. You can spend hours talking about nothing, gossip, complaints, opinions about people you've never met, endless analysis of situations that don't matter. This is how most human interaction functions, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's how we connect, how we pass time, how we feel like we belong. But after waking up, something shifts. You start to feel the energy behind words. You notice when conversations drain you versus when they nourish you. You become acutely aware of when an interaction is coming from ego versus when it is coming from presence. Eckhart Tolle describes awakened presence as a state where you are fully there with another person, not thinking about what to say next, not judging, not trying to get something from the interaction, just being. Once you experience this, shallow conversation feels almost physically uncomfortable. It isn't that you become judgmental or superior. It's that your nervous system literally responds differently to unconscious versus conscious interaction. You will still be able to have small talk. You will still be able to engage with people who are not awake, but you will never be able to not notice the difference. You will always feel when a conversation is happening on the surface versus when it is happening in depth. And once you know that deeper connection is possible, the shallow version will never satisfy you the same way again. The fifth thing you will never be able to do again is truly believe you are just your body and mind. This is the most fundamental shift. Before waking up, your identity is completely fused with your physical form and your mental narrative. You are your name. You are your history. You are your achievements and failures. You are your personality. After waking up, this identification breaks. Not partially, completely. Eckhart Tolle describes his own breakthrough moment with the phrase, "I cannot live with myself any longer." And in that moment, he realized something profound. There were two of him, the self that could not bear to live and the self that was aware of the other self's suffering. Two entities. Which one was real? That realization shattered his identification with the ego, permanently, Research published in the journal Explore in 2022 studied scientists and academics who reported spiritual awakening experiences. They found that 100% of participants reported a fundamental shift in their sense of self. They no longer experienced themselves as isolated individuals inside bodies. They reported feeling connected to something larger, something infinite, something that transcended their personal identity. Once this happens, you can never truly believe you are just this body again. You might forget temporarily. You might get caught in ego identification for moments or even days, but there will always be something that knows better, something that remembers the truth of what you are, and this changes everything. How you relate to death, how you relate to other people, how you relate to success and failure. Because when you know you are not just this temporary form, the things that used to matter so much lose their grip on you. Now, here is what I want you to understand. Everything I just described might sound like loss, and in a way, it is. You lose the ability to believe your thoughts blindly. You lose the ability to live unconsciously. You lose the ability to suppress your emotions. You lose the ability to engage in shallow interaction without noticing. You lose the ability to identify completely with your limited self. But what you gain in exchange is beyond what words can describe. You gain freedom from the prison of your own mind. You gain access to a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. You gain the ability to be fully present in your life, to actually experience your existence rather than just think about it. You gain connection, real connection, with yourself and with others, and you gain the knowing of what you truly are, which is consciousness itself. If you have felt your entire understanding of waking up shift in the last few minutes, there is something you should know. This kind of content requires a different approach than most channels take. Most channels tell you what you want to hear. They confirm your existing beliefs. They keep you comfortable in your current level of understanding. What we do here is different. We challenge, we go deeper. We reveal truths that most people are not ready to hear. When you click the super thanks button below this video, you are not just supporting a channel. You are saying yes to your own waking up. You are affirming that you are ready for truth, even when it is uncomfortable. You are joining a community of people who refuse to stay asleep. That is not about money. That is about choosing consciousness. So let me ask you directly, which of these 5 things resonates most with you? Maybe you have already noticed you cannot believe your thoughts the same way. Maybe you have felt that inability to go back to autopilot living. Maybe you have experienced the pain of no longer being able to suppress your emotions. There is a practice Eckhart Tolle recommends for integrating these shifts. It is simple, but profound. Several times throughout your day, stop whatever you are doing. Take one conscious breath and then ask yourself, am I aware right now? Not thinking about being aware, actually checking, is awareness present in this moment? When you do this, you create a gap, a space between stimulus and response, a moment where presence can enter, and the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes, the more these 5 permanent changes integrate into your daily experience, the signs that this integration is happening. You will notice thoughts arising and feel space around them rather than being consumed by them. You will catch yourself going on autopilot and gently return to presence. You will feel emotions fully without being destroyed by them. You will seek out depth in your interactions rather than settling for surface. And you will have moments, sometimes brief, sometimes extended, where you know beyond. Doubt that you are not just this body and mind. These are not achievements to reach. They are symptoms of waking up naturally unfolding. Waking up is not a destination. It is a continuous process of letting go, of releasing identification with what you are not, of allowing consciousness to recognize itself through you. And the 5 things you lose, they were never really yours to begin with. They were limitations, constraints, prisons you did not know you were living in. What remains after they fall away is what you have always been. Before the thoughts, before the autopilot, before the suppression, before the shallow interactions, before the false identification, pure awareness, untouched by any experience, undisturbed by any circumstance, infinite and eternal. This is not something you need to achieve. It is something you already are. Waking up simply removes the veils that were blocking your recognition of it. Comment below which of these 5 shifts you have noticed in your own life. Or, if you're just starting on your waking up journey, which illusion feels the most challenging to let go of? Be honest with yourself and share that in the comments, because believe it or not, somewhere in those comments, there's another soul and another person and who desperately needs to know they're not alone in this struggle. That someone else, anyone else, understands what they're going through, the hurdles they're facing, that the changes they are experiencing, the inner shifts, are not signs of something gone wrong, but instead, signs of something profoundly right, something truly transformative happening within them. Your awakening matters. It's not just about you, not just for your own personal benefit. It's for all of us, for the collective, for the world.